Hey, I'm Randy, and you're watching The Cheap Audio Man. Here at The Cheap Audio Man, we talk about high-value, hi-fi, and home theater gear. We don't take ourselves too seriously here. So, today we're talking about putting together an entire audiophile, that's right, audiophile system for under $1,000, which includes the amp, the speakers, and most of the time, a source. So, sit down, grab a soda or a beverage or a cup of coffee, and let's put together an audiophile system for less than $1,000. Today's sponsor is Falcon Audio Chicken Hawk music storage devices. It's an old spinning hard drive, all right, but it's audiophile certified. So you put all your music on this. It's the Falcon Audio Chicken Hawk music storage device, high-res files. You can put them on here and wait for a couple of minutes for each song to play. All right, $417.16. Falcon Audio Chicken Hawk music storage devices. They're available somewhere online. All right, let's put together a system. I got notes and everything. All right, so first, we're going to talk about the amplifiers. Some of these amplifiers are integrated amplifiers. Well, they're all integrated amplifiers. Some of them have DACs, some of them have Bluetooth, some of them don't. Let's start it off. Cambridge Audio, AXA35. This integrated amplifier comes with an integrated phono stage, 4 analog inputs. I think maybe the phono stage takes up 8. You're gonna have plenty of analog inputs, 35 watts a channel into 8, and there's no rating for 4 or 6. I can't attest to whether or not it's going to work on 4 ohm speakers. Maybe don't try that. You can, but I don't know if you're going to avoid the warranty. 35 watts, most people say that's not enough. In most cases, I've never had a problem driving anything with 35 watts, but you're probably going to want to pair it as in the bird, nope, pair it as in put together it with some 8 ohm speakers that maybe have a decent efficiency. Probably not 85 dB, but 8 ohm speaker, 87 dB or higher. You're probably going to be fine. You may ask yourself, why aren't you recommending the higher wattage Cambridge amps? Well, personally, I haven't heard the higher wattage Cambridge amps, but I have heard from some people that I trust that they prefer the 35 and the 25. So that's the one I'm recommending, the AXA35 from Cambridge Audio, $350. See how that works out? 35, $350, it's all good. Next up is the NAD C338. I just got this in, and I haven't spent a ton of time with it, but the time I have spent with it, it's a winner. There's going to be a dedicated review come out, but it's pretty awesome. It's really good looking. It's got a streamer that supports Chromecast. It has Bluetooth. It has a phono amp. It puts out 50 watts into 8 and 50 watts into 4 because it's a Class D, and NAD's doing some cool magic on the front end of it. Sounds very good. Very clean, but not thin. It has a very tastefully done bass boost. It's got a DAC in it too. Out of the box, you can stream. You can do Bluetooth. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's expensive though. For this one, it's $700. To keep us under the $1,000 threshold, you're either going to be spending money on your speakers or you're going to be spending money on the amp. Which one you do is up to you. And the $1,000 mark, just like 40 is the new 30, $1,100 is the new $1,000, because as you may have known, if you're interested in the hobby at all, prices have been going up a little bit. $1,000, 10% add, give or take, but take, is about $1,100. Most of this stuff you can put together and still be under $1,100. Most, you can be under $1,000 still. $1,100 is the new $1,000. The Emotiva TA1 is their new integrated amplifier. I owned the TA100 and I loved it. It was one of my reference amplifiers. The TA1 is jam-packed with just about everything you could possibly need. It has a DAC, it has integrated Bluetooth, which on the TA100, it did not have integrated Bluetooth. Phono stage, preamp outputs with a high-pass filter on them, and a subwoofer out. There is a ton of stuff going on in the TA1. Priced at $550, the TA1 puts out 100 watts into 4 ohms and 60 watts into 8 ohms. Very good jack of all trades amplifier. May not be the most detailed thing on the top, but it's very good, has a decent DAC and a decent phono stage. That amp you can grow with because you can use it as a preamp if you ever want to add a dedicated power amp. Very good, highly recommended, has a new remote now. It's great. Also has an FM tuner if you're so inclined to listen to the radio. SMSL DA9. It is a balanced amplifier. Puts out 90 watts into 4, 50 watts into 8. Running at $250 right now. Balanced in, also has Bluetooth, also has some EQ settings, also has a remote. This amp I love. However, I love it with a little bit of EQ on it. Not when I say a little bit, I mean a lot. The SBD setting, patented EQ setting from SMSL, and I will say good because it sounds awesome. And that amp is fantastic with that EQ setting on. If you are looking for a smaller form factor, if you're looking for balanced, because this is the only balanced option in this list, the SMSL DA9 should get a hard look, and you can do Bluetooth right out of the box. So just hook up a set of speakers, and since it's $250, you have way more money for speakers. The Denon PMA600NE November Echo, one of the first products that I reviewed. I purchased it, I brought it in, I compared it to the TA100 from Emotiva. It has a lot going on as well. So it has Bluetooth, it has a DAC, it has a phono stage, and it puts out 70 watts into 4 ohms and 45 watts into 8. Very good, actually can drive pretty hard to drive speakers. Has very nice controls on the front, tone controls that you can just turn, spin, whatever you want. $450. Used to be $400. Now it's $450. But it's in stock. Actually, all of these are in stock when this video will go up. Well, I hope so. They're in stock the day before the video goes up, but they're in stock right now, today. If you're looking for, you may not want to sleep on this stuff because as most people know, if you've been following any of the stocking issues, there's been stocking issues going on. If there's something on here that you've been thinking about and you like, you might want to pull the trigger. The Denon PMA600NE is a very full sounding amplifier, very lush. It can be paired up with very exciting, even bright speakers and balance things out. Jam-packed, you got a DAC, it also has a subwoofer out, a DAC, phono stage, Bluetooth, very good sounding Bluetooth, actually has AAC codec. Great amplifier. $450. Now we're going to change it up a bit. Normally I am talking about 2-channel receivers. Well, now we're going to talk about 7-channel receivers. The Marantz NR1710. It is a older version, but you can get it renewed. It has a streamer, it has a phono stage, it has a DAC, it has 7-channel surround, it has Atmos, it has everything. But most importantly for music, it has a direct and a pure direct mode. I have its younger brother, the NR1711, and I can attest that it plays music just fine. And there is so much functionality with variable EQs, with high-pass filters, low-pass filters, with setting up a surround and a dedicated 2-channel system at the same time. This thing is a winner if you are not intimidated by going into the settings and running some stuff. Comes with a room correction software. We'll put a EQ on your speakers if you want. You can bypass the front speakers. Ton of functionality. We're talking about a dual purpose machine, and don't be afraid that it's not going to play music well, because I compared my NR1711 from Marantz directly to a Moon by Sim Audio 240i at $2,500, and there wasn't that big of a difference. Yeah, the Moon sounded better, but the Marantz was not embarrassed at all. Again, leans a little bit fuller, not as full as the Denon, but very nice sounding amp, is not going to sound thin at all. The Marantz NR1710, the renewed version, is $550. I think the 1711 is going for $850 right now. You can get it on Amazon. If it doesn't work, return it or whatever. Great, great receiver. Great for playing music too. Another 7-channel receiver, the Onkyo TX-NR696. Ooh, I got it right. The reason I got it right is because I have the 686, and previous to that, I actually had, I think, the 656. This receiver is going to sound thinner than the Marantz, but again, tons of DSP options with EQ, with high pass, with low pass, also has a direct mode. I think the Marantz sounds a bit better for music. But if you do 50-50 home theater music, it's still going to be great. Again, powerful EQ settings on this. Also has a room correction software. Not really room correction, but it sets the things, sets the distances and stuff, puts an EQ on there based upon what the room is doing with reflection. Marantz is going to sound a little bit better for music, but the Onkyo is not going to be embarrassed. It's very good. You just might have to bring up the lower mids and the bass a little bit if you're running 2-channel. But if you have a sub, and you can do a sub on these, so a little bit of a tip. If you want the sub to run in pure direct mode, when you set up the sub, put in LFE plus main, and then you'll get the sub to work with it. Because sometimes when you put it in pure direct mode, it turns the sub off. But if you do a little sub configuration changes, then you'll be good to go. Let's talk about speakers. Speakers. I just did a review, or kind of another video on the Jamo C93 2 speakers. They're fantastic. 1-inch soft dome, 6-inch woofer. They sound great. They are U-shaped though. This is not a neutral speaker or what some would consider to be a reference speaker. They're fun, they're exciting, and they're ultra clear. They were on sale, but now they're back up to $400. Still at $400, a good speaker. They're very cool looking. That speaker is going to pair probably really well. It's going to pair well with anything, but it's going to pair really well with the warmer sounding amps. So the Cambridge, the Marantz, the Denon, the more full-bodied amplifiers. But if you're putting it on a receiver, you don't really need to worry about that because you can put some EQ settings on it. That's an 8-ohm speaker, so it's not going to be super hard to drive. Elac Unifl 2.0, second generation of the Elac Unifl series, not the reference. This is the $600 one, but it's actually being sold at $550 to $560. Sometimes it goes on sale all the way down to $500. It's a 3-way speaker with aluminum drivers, a soft dome tweeter that is mounted concentrically in the mid-range, 4-inch mid-range. This speaker needs a bit more power. It's 6 ohms. The first gen was notorious for needing a lot of power, but I can attest, because I own it, that the 2.0 likes a little bit of juice as well. Probably not going to pair great with the Cambridge, but this thing sounds awesome. Very flat, but it's not boring sounding speaker. If you get a big bass hit, it's going to give you a big bass hit. If you get a big sparkle, it's going to give you a big sparkle on top. Very good soundstage, $560. This thing is not attractive. It's not a good looking speaker, but if you can get over how it looks and just listen to how it sounds, I don't think you can really go wrong. Give it some juice. It will not disappoint you. It also scales with higher end electronics too. So if you ever get a more expensive amplifier, this speaker can grow with you a little bit. The SVS Prime bookshelves. I like this one so much, I bought it from SVS. They are $500 a pair. They are exciting on top. Again, a bit of a U shape, but it's not scooped out so much in the middle that it sounds off with jazz or other types of recordings where you want good mid-range, singer-songwriter, anything like that. They're 8 ohm, 87 dB, $500. They're going to be easier to drive, if not easy to drive, off of most things. So the Cambridge would drive the SVS Prime bookshelves just fine. They're good looking, very well constructed. You're getting a lot for your money at $500. And it is not so V-shaped that it's going to offend a lot of people. Very good speaker, good home theater speaker as well. Small, but sounds and plays big. SVS Prime, $500. The Wharfedale Diamond 12.2, $500 a pair. Very neutral speaker, beautiful speaker, very well made. Sound stages very well. Flat frequency response, may sound a bit more reserved than the SVS or the Jamo, but if you spend enough time with it, details come back, it gets exciting, very neutral. So probably out of all of these, the Wharfedale Diamond and the Elac are going to be the most audiophile speakers because they have such a flat frequency response. But the 12.2s improve upon the 11.2s, and I'm not saying that it's a better speaker than 11.2s because I like the 11.2s, but the 11.2s were warm and the 12.2 is much more neutral, built really well, braced really well. You're not going to get any resonances with these cabinets. Great speaker, $500, good neutral speaker, not hard to drive. Another Elac Debut B6.2, the most affordable speaker on the list, comes in at $251. I know, the one for whatever reason. $251 on Amazon right now. I will say it's a 6.5-inch driver, 1-inch soft dome tweeter, very good sound staging. But out of the box, it seems like there's not a ton of bass. It's front ported. I had to shove it way against the wall. I have been told after some time that the driver, the bass, the woofer loosens up a bit and that the bass comes back in a little bit more balanced. It is the most affordable speaker on the list. If you are spending your money on the amp and the electronics on the front end, you might want to consider the B6.2. Very high value for the money. Be prepared to let them run for a while before you make any judgments about how they sound. And that reminds me, you need to do the same thing with the Elac Unifl 2.0s as well. It took a while for me to get that speaker, but once I did, it has taken up permanent residence. I like the Elac Unifl 2.0 so much, I gave a pair to one of my patrons. Let's talk about some DACs. Just in case you bought the AXA35 and you don't have a DAC to use with it, you can look at the Schiit Modi 3 Plus. It's $119 on Amazon. It's $100 on Schiit's website, but you're going to have to pay $20 in shipping and tax and all that. If you get it from Amazon, it's $119 free shipping. Fantastic sounding DAC. And I don't think you can really get much better than that unless you spend multiples more. But there is no Bluetooth. There is no remote control. If you're putting that on an amplifier and you need a remote control, keep that in mind. Next up, the Topping EX5, one of my favorite DACs right now, and it's a headphone amp, so it's a DAC amp, headphone amp, can do balanced outputs. It's $350, which is nothing to sneeze at this point, but it comes with really good Bluetooth. It's a 9038 QTM dual chip DAC, balanced out, balanced headphone out, but it's not really a balanced headphone out. It's just there for convenience if you have a balanced connector. And I don't know how convenient is that. Most people aren't going to have a balanced headphone connector unless they have a balanced amp. Anyway, it sounds great, has a remote control, and it has really good Bluetooth. It's going to liven up the Cambridge a little bit and give you a headphone jack. Last but not least, the Soncoz LAOXD1. I think that's what it is. It's either that or it's a combination of those letters therein. It's $220. You can get it from Hifi Go. They're a great outfit. Balanced DAC, sounds great. No Bluetooth, no remote control though. If you're looking at the DA9, this may be a very good combination considering that the DA9 has a remote already and Bluetooth. All in, you would be less than $500 with the Soncoz and the DA9, which would leave you enough money to buy a very nice set of speakers. I will list all these in the description. I will pin a comment with all of these, but why don't you sign up for Amazon Music for free and get 6 months of Disney Plus for free so you can pump that music through your new system. It doesn't cost you anything. You can cancel whenever you want within the time frame. I think you get 3 months of music for free. It helps support me. I get a couple of dollars for everybody that signs up, and you can still cancel anytime. You can also sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/cheapaudioman. Every Sunday night we have Patreon-only Zooms. We also have a Patreon-only Facebook group where you can interact with other people in the community that are just as crazy about audio as you are, because we're alone on an island. And what we talk about with DACs and amps and impedances and crossovers, most people, they're just gonna glaze over and think that we're a little nutty. But we're not nutty when we're together on my Zoom calls with the patrons or in the Facebook group. Okay? You can also buy any of these products. Most of them are linked with affiliate links, which means if you buy them, it's not going to cost you anymore, but I get a commission, which is a great way, again, to not have any money out, but still support the channel. So you can put together an awesome system for $1,000. I hope so. And you can also do home theater with it too. Don't binge watch anything unless you're binge watching Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus through your receiver that you just bought. Binge listen also through that same receiver or any of the other integrated amps or amps we talked about and speakers we talked about, and fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.